Do you know how to darn socks or weave a patch? Perhaps your grandmother had baskets filled with different colored threads, quietly waiting to mend worn garments or torn linens. In my family, we cherish these old skills, passed down gently from one generation to the next, as if handing over a secret treasure. Each piece of fabric holds a story, each stitch sewn with patience and care, reminding us to value what we have and respect the labor that made it. Tell me, where are you from? How does your family care for the things that surround you? I would love to hear your stories because in our humble home, caring for possessions is a sacred act. When a sock develops a hole, it is not discarded as useless. Instead, we gather the needle and thread, sit by the soft light of an oil lamp, and patch that hole slowly but surely. This is not merely a task, but a moment to reflect on the patience our ancestors embodied. The process is quiet, yet meaningful. We take care to match threads closely in color and texture, so that the patch feels like an organic part of the fabric, rather than a crude fix. The art of darning is much more than a craft. It is a connection to those who first stitched their life's needs into the cloth they wore. Just as we treat our garments, so too do we treat our homes and tools. Pieces of clothing should never be thrown aside as if they are too worn or too old. Instead, a rip in a work shirt or a faded dress calls to us for attention. It calls for mending. My wife, Mary, taught me the importance of patience in this matter. When she patches a shirt, she does so with the thought that the fabric has witnessed seasons, endured labors in the field, and laughter in the kitchen. Mending such a shirt becomes an act of respect, not only for the garment, but for the memories entwined within it. Every patch sewn into a shirt carries a story of love and perseverance, far from any sign of poverty. It speaks of a choice to treasure what we already possess, rather than seeking endless replacements. In a world that moves too fast, where things are often discarded before their time, the patched clothes remind us to slow down and cherish. The visible repairs are like gentle reminders that beauty exists in the imperfect and the tried. We don't see patched clothes as signs of hardship, but as badges of honor, proof of a life lived carefully and with gratitude. It is in this silence that we find mindfulness, a meditation in motion, and a sense of belonging to the world around us. Handmade items carry warmth not only because of the materials, but because of the care infused within them by their makers. A dress sewn by your mother or a quilt patched together by your grandmother holds more than fabric and thread. They hold stories, care, and love that can be felt long after the craftsperson's hands have tired. These objects are a tangible kind of inheritance, a bridge between past and future. When you wear or use them, you feel wrapped in the comfort of those who came before, their hands guiding yours through each stitch and fold. Each fabric that comes into our hands is treated much like bread that nourishes the body. We do not take it for granted or waste it. Just as bread sustains life, so does clothing protect and express who we are. This humble respect leads us to mend and patch to make the fabric sturdy again. It teaches us to appreciate the effort woven into every thread. Our ancestors knew that by treating cloth carefully, they saved their family's resources and preserved dignity. The thread that is mended today carries that tradition forward, a small act of mindfulness in a busy world. My youngest son, Jacob, watching his mother's hands move swiftly and steadily while she darned a pair of socks, learned these lessons without a single word of sermon. He understood that each knot and stitch counted. Now he too knows that mending is not a task for the hurried or careless, but for the person who honors time, patience, and care. It is a quiet pride to take broken things and make them whole again. It is pride rooted in respect for the gifts of creation and the work our hands can perform. When our clothes and fabrics are treated as dear possessions rather than disposable goods, we also extend this attitude to the earth. Caring for our gardens, tending to the soil, and harvesting with gratitude are all part of the same philosophy. To repair is to renew, to restore is to honor. Just as we patch a shirt, we nurture the land. Old habits give way to enduring wisdom. We learn that everything useful has value that demands our attention, whether it be a torn sleeve or a patch of depleted soil. Preservation becomes an act of love. It is important to remember that the process of mending is more than practical. It is a ritual that connects us to our roots. The needles, the threads, the baskets of yarn hold the echoes of those who labored patiently before us. When the fabric is stitched, it's as if the hand of a great-grandmother gently guides ours, reminding us to never waste, to cherish, and to keep alive an art that sings softness into the hard corners of life. This tradition is a language of the heart, spoken through every careful stitch. In the quiet rhythm of weaving or mending, a subtle voice tells us that life is continuous, that repair is possible. Each time we choose to fix rather than replace, we affirm resilience in both ourselves and the things around us. Like the gentle turning of seasons, the renewing of cloth teaches acceptance of change and a hopeful embrace of the future. The things we make with our own hands are never merely objects but vessels of care, history, and hope. As evening falls and the light dims slowly, you can find me sitting at the old wooden table. Around it, pieces of worn fabric, colored threads, and needles lie ready. The room is quiet except for the faint clacking of threads crossing each other. This simple act of darning is a reminder of what it means to live gently in the world, to heal the small tears, and to preserve the whole cloth of life. With every mended garment, a story continues. A tradition lives on, and a family's soul finds peace. The warmth of handcrafted things endures beyond time, a silent testament to the hands that made them and the hearts that hold on to them. Through weaving and mending, the soul finds its quiet center, a place where patience, respect, and love intertwine. The cloth is not simply fabric, it is a tapestry of care, woven slowly with the wisdom of those who cherish the precious art of preservation. We carry it forward, stitch by stitch, into the days to come. Now, as we cherish this art of careful mending and honoring our possessions, let us turn our thoughts to the rhythms of the garden and the soil beneath our feet, where another kind of patience and care awaits, the gentle tending of the land that sustains us all. Значение каждой заплатки и рукодельных нюансов. Have you ever held a worn sock with a tiny hole carefully stitched closed, or watched a shirt's frayed hem come back to life through delicate needlework? In my family, these moments of repair are like whispered stories passed down softly through generations. My grandmother's wooden basket, overflowing with spools of thread and scraps of fabric, was a treasure trove of patience and care. She would say, "Each stitch is a promise," and I learned long ago that patching a garment is not about scarcity, but about love, wrapped in every gentle pull of thread. Mending clothes, especially socks and shirts, is a humble art that teaches patience. Rather than discarding a torn piece, we inspect it like a healer tends to a wound, carefully rejoining frayed edges or reinforcing thinning spots keeps the fabric whole. The process slows the rush of life, inviting us to pause and appreciate what we have. It is a quiet rebellion against waste, a practice that embodies respect for the materials and those who come after us. Our family views each patch sewn not as a symbol of poverty, but as a badge of honor. These fabric mends tell stories of days gone by, of hands that knew hard work and quiet endurance. They carry warmth not just from our bodies, but from intention and devotion. Even the simplest patch speaks of care felt deeply enough to restore what was broken. Such repairs make garments unique, charged with memories that no new cloth can offer. I remember my great-aunt Sarah, who taught me the old ways of weaving and stitching by candlelight. Sitting beside her, I marveled at how she transformed scraps into quilts that knit the family's history together. Tending to threads and fabrics brought a tranquility she called the quiet rhythm of life. These hours spent weaving and darning became moments of meditation where the outside world melted away, leaving only the pulse of needle, thread, and heartbeat intertwined. Crafting by hand restores a kind of silence within the soul. When fingers work the loom or knot thread through worn fabric, the mind slips into a gentle flow, unburdened by modern noise and hurry. This deliberate care connects us to the cycles of nature, to the steady, measured pace of growth and renewal. It reminds us that to create, to mend, to nurture, is to live in harmony with the world around us. The warmth carried by a handcrafted item is unlike that of a factory-made garment. When a sweater comes off my grandmother's needles or a quilt blooms under our family's hands, it holds the imprint of love for years to come. These creations are woven not only from wool and cotton, but from stories, laughter, and tears shared across time. Their comfort wraps around us, grounding us in a lineage richer than gold. In these small acts of repair and creation, there lies a profound respect for balance and sustainability. Every stitch mended prolongs the life of a garment, conserving resources and honoring the earth. Our ancestors knew the value of making do, not from lack, but from wisdom. To care for our things is to care for ourselves, and for those who follow, weaving a chain of responsibility and kindness. The ritual of repairing socks or hemming shirts becomes a language of love within our family. When I sit sewing a thread through a garment's thin spot, it feels like speaking softly to my children, sharing lessons without words. Each patch, each careful stitch, carries a blessing for resilience and gentle strength. It is in these moments that the past walks beside us, steadying our steps forward. As children, we learned the art of mending by watching elders who treated every piece of cloth like a precious heirloom. My cousin Jacob, especially keen on patterns and symmetry, would find joy in restoring worn trousers to their original dignity. Watching him work with quiet focus reminded me of the care imbued in every needle's pass and how such simple acts anchor us firmly in our roots. To preserve fabric is to preserve stories and identity. Each thread woven or repaired holds the echo of a familiar hand, a cherished smile, a shared day under the sun. Tending to our clothes keeps alive the spirit of thriftiness and reverence, guarding treasures that carry the fragrance of home and history. By stitching and weaving, we claim our place within the continuous circle of life. The skill of mending invites patience, teaching that the present moment is worthy of attention. There is a beauty in imperfection. Each patchwork, square, or stitch is proof of a journey endured. We do not hide these repairs but showcase them proudly, revealing the layers of care invested. Such patterns become part of our family's visual lineage, a tapestry of love and endurance visible to all. Our hands work not just fabric but memories, weaving the past that shapes our future. Like my great-grandfather, who fashioned his own clothes from wool grown on our farm, we honor the self-reliance passed down through time. Each thread drawn tight, each small hole mended, tells a story of perseverance and resourcefulness, echoing the values that define us. Engaging in tissage or darning connects us deeply to nature's cycles. Cotton and wool, grown and sheared by Earth's gentle hand, return to life in our homes through patient care. This reciprocal relationship reminds us how intertwined we are with the land and seasons. By mending, we become partners in the slow, graceful dance of creation and renewal. In a world where mass production tempts us to discard quickly, maintaining our belongings restores balance and meaning. Broken objects offer chances to pause and reflect, to value effort over convenience. Through this lens, each patch is an heirloom, a testimony that love endures beyond fleeting trends or fashions, sewing a thread of continuity through our days. My mother, Miriam, often speaks of how repairing her children's clothes taught lessons of gratitude and mindfulness. She says, "When you mend a shirt, you mend a moment." These simple hems and darning motions become prayers, invisible yet powerful, nurturing character alongside fabric. They remind us that patience and care are gifts worth passing on timely and tenderly. When we pass a patch along or teach a child to sew, it is an act of trust in the future. It symbolizes hope that those who come after us will not only cherish, but also cultivate the sacred bond between craft and heart. This continuous cycle sustains not only objects, but the souls who cherish and tend them, weaving stories rich in love and endurance. To cherish homemade textiles is to cherish the human touch amid an impersonal age. Each sweater, quilt, or repaired sock carries our fingers' imprint, a silent signature of tenderness. These handmade artifacts keep alive the sacred rhythm of handcraft, preserving a heritage that technology cannot replicate. They invite all who wear or see them to slow down, to remember what matters deeply. So, when your hands pick up needle and thread, imagine joining a circle of care that stretches across generations. You become part of a living tradition, knitting together past and present in delicate harmony. Every stitch you make whispers of patience, pride, and love, crafting a home not only for clothes but for hearts and memories. Now that we have explored the deep significance of mending and craftsmanship, let us turn our attention to the soil beneath our feet and consider how tending the earth with equal care weaves another vital thread in our family story.
Ткачество и рукоделие как путь к внутренней тишине.
Have you ever learned the quiet art of darning socks or weaving new life into worn shirts? When I was a young boy, my grandmother's humble basket contained threads of every shade and texture, each one telling a story of care and resilience. It was in those baskets that I first understood. To mend a garment was far more than a simple repair. It was an act of love, a statement of patience, and a vow to cherish what has been given rather than seek the new and fleeting. Restoring a pair of socks, for instance, is an exercise in reverence. I remember how my mother's nimble fingers would thread the needle and gently stitch the fabric as if tending a garden. To most, a hole in a sock might mean a prompt toss into the discard pile, but in our home, it was an opportunity, a chance to slow down, to reflect, and to honor the hands that had once spun the wool itself. Each stitch pulled tight was a small prayer for the continued warmth and well-being of the wearer. Clothing in our family is treated as one might treat bread fresh from the oven. As bread sustains the body, so too does fabric protect and comfort the skin. Worn garments are never abandoned hastily, but are given new dignity through careful attention. My father always said, "A patch sewn with care is not a mark of poverty, but a badge of love and mindfulness." In our community, the presence of a patch on a shirt or a pair of sturdy work trousers signals that the piece has been valued, its soul preserved through time. The act of weaving itself embodies a special harmony. When I sit at my loom, the rhythmic pull of the threads brings a calm unlike any other. It is a meditation where the mind quiets and the heart synchronizes with the movements of thread and shuttle. This communion with craft connects me to those who came before, to my great-grandmother who spun wool by candlelight, and to my brother Daniel who learned beside me. There is magic in these simple acts, a timeless thread woven not only through fabric, but through the very fabric of our being. Handmade items carry warmth beyond the obvious. They hold memories, intentions, and quiet goodness that survive countless seasons. The cloth we create is impregnated with our breath, our thoughts, and the steady patience of our hands. When someone wears a handmade jacket or handles a personally mended quilt, they touch not just cotton or wool, but the care bestowed upon it. This warmth extends forward, teaching future generations the meaning of stewardship and respect. I recall how my sister Sarah, with her gentle smile, would carefully trim loose threads and mend her dresses often, imbuing the garments with extra tenderness. Her actions taught me that maintenance is a way of life and a way of honoring resources and time. We live simply, but with depth, ensuring everything we own is used to its fullest, much like how the earth willingly shares its bounty when we tend it with kindness. This way of living, centered around restoration and mending, contrasts sharply with the hurried disposability common in the wider world. It encourages us to slow down, to observe the precious nature of each thread and stitch. In this patience, we restore more than fabric. We restore our connection to the natural rhythm of the seasons, to the dance of growth, decay, and rebirth. This rhythm flows through our hands as we weave, sew, or stitch, grounding us in the present moment and filling us with gratitude. Every repaired item carries a narrative, an invisible thread linking the past and present. These patched garments are not merely practical. They are relics of care, respect, and continuity. Through them, we celebrate the unspoken stories of those who crafted, wore, and tended these goods. The dance of needle and thread sings softly of legacy and devotion, teaching us humility and the gentle power found in persistence. Crafting and mending, then, are acts of preservation on many levels. They safeguard the environment by reducing waste and honoring the materials provided by nature. They guard family histories through the passing down of patterns and techniques, and they nurture the soul by inviting us into a sacred space of quiet work and reflection. Through this, we cultivate a sense of belonging and home, nourished by both hand and heart. The lessons learned at the loom extend into all aspects of our lives. Patience in weaving reminds us to treat others with kindness and understanding. The care taken in repairing teaches us to forgive and rebuild. Each tiny stitch becomes a metaphor for the intricate bonds that hold families and communities together. In this, humble crafts help us grow in wisdom and empathy, weaving invisible connections that strengthen us all. Our household remains a sanctuary where nothing is wasted, nothing thoughtless. Clothes are handed down from one sibling to another, each generation adding their own mends and embellishments. This organic accumulation of marks and repairs becomes a family story written not in words, but in fabric and thread. To wear these garments is to carry forward a living history, a tapestry of care that enriches each day. It is said in our quiet community that things made by hand carry a soul. I can attest to this truth, having seen how a child's weathered jacket or a mother's lovingly patched apron seems to radiate a special kind of warmth. The hands that mended them, imbued with steady calm, become a source of comfort long after the stitches are sewn. This warmth is subtle but unyielding, a gift we cherish beyond measure. The gentle industry of treading the line between utility and beauty in our textiles fosters peace in the heart. Each garment repaired and recreated teaches us to value the imperfect and the well-used. We find grace not in pristine perfection, but in the joyous resilience of patched cloth. This perspective encourages us to embrace life's necessary repairs and cherish the stories they hold within their seams. Today, many have forgotten these quiet practices, rushing toward the newest thing without regard for the past. Yet, in the stillness of a handcrafted mending session or the slow weaving of a new cloth, there is a precious invitation to slow down, to connect, and to find peace in making whole again. This is the prayer woven silently through every stitch, every patch, every carefully restored garment. As the years pass, I find myself passing these traditions to my grandchildren. I teach them not only how to wield the needle, but to listen, to hear the stories that fabric whispers if only we pause long enough. These teachings remind us all that we are part of a greater cycle of creation, guardians of gifts given by earth and ancestors alike. With patience and care, we nurture this sacred trust. In this way, the delicate arts of weaving and mending serve as a bridge between generations and between us and the natural world. Each thread we pull and knot carries forward gifts of patience, love, and stewardship. Through these modest acts, we cultivate a lasting harmony that sustains both our material lives and our spirits. As I lay down my needle and close the basket of threads, I feel a tender gratitude. These crafts preserve more than cloth. They preserve a way of living with intention and reverence. The work may seem small, yet its impact ripples far beyond the room where we sit. It is a quiet inheritance, a living heritage of love stitched tenderly into every fold. With hands so gently busy, we find our souls grow quiet and full. The rhythm of craft slows the passage of time, drawing us nearer to nature's own cadence. Through these enduring traditions, we learn to hold the fragile and the worn, the past and the future, all folded together in the fabric of a life well tended. And so, having woven this cloth of memory and care, we turn gently toward the rich wisdom of gardening, where the earth itself teaches the tender art of life.